Welcome to TSK F1. My name's Rich, and this is your daily dose of Formula One news. Today, we're going to be talking about Ferrari and discontent going on there with different members of staff that's going on. Red Bull and how they're driving for efficiency, and that's creating motivation at that team, and also issues at Mercedes. Please do remember to hit that like on the stream and also subscribe with the bell button down below if you would like to be notified when I go live with the latest F1 news. Also, just a little reminder, guys, that we are going to be live for the watch-alongs at the end of the week for the Jeddah Grand Prix. The first one is going to be on Friday at 1:30 p.m. For the, well, it'll be 1 o'clock that we're live for the watch along for free practice 1, and then 5 o'clock that very same day for free practice 2, and then on Saturday at about 1 o'clock for free practice 3, and then around 4:30 for qualifying, and on Sunday we'll be live for the race. So please do join me for those watch alongs, guys. Had a bit of a hectic morning this morning, so hopefully everything goes well here. But to start off with, I'm wearing my Ferrari top this morning, but to start off with, we have been seeing quite a few different reports of discontent in Ferrari, with different members of staff having different issues. And really, this is probably the bigger story than Mercedes, but I was only delving into it after I'd made the thumbnail and everything for this video. But I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this chap's name, but we may have seen him on TV. I have quite a bit, especially during the Binotto period, and he Laurent Mekies, maybe that his name is, but apparently he's dissatisfied with the leadership style of CEO Benedetto Vigna, and he's calling it cumbersome management, and he's wanting to leave Ferrari, according to Formula Uno, which I guess is out of Italy. And he has already been contacted, apparently, by the likes of Alpine already, but he is under contract. But this isn't the first one that's happened. We already reported that Sanchez had left, and he's going to McLaren after his gardening leave, and it all points towards maybe an upheaval within Ferrari. Maybe it's the upheaval that's being required. I've said this for quite a while, that it seemed like they'd gone back to their sort of pre-Schumacher days of being somewhat internally focused on promotion rather than getting best-in-class recruitment like Aston Martin are trying to do. It looked like Ferrari were trying to create what they had before, or rather what they had probably, like, 80 years ago or something, where it's all Italian for all Italian cars and things like this, when really the greatest success, really, in if you want to be modern, has been when they opened their doors and had Ross Brawn and Rory Byrne and Schumacher and, that type of situation going on. And to me, it just seems like Binotto's departure has set a chain reaction in motion that Vasseur is probably going to have to deal with. Now, just before I went live, I did find another article that's got Vasseur quotes in it, which is brand new. But he said, "I find it difficult to understand why the team becomes a target after only one race. As far as the correlation between the simulation and the track is concerned, we are in line. That's why I asked everyone to stay focused on performance and find solutions to reliability issues, because the championship is long. Just because you don't win the first one doesn't mean you're offside. Bahrain was bad in some ways and good in others." And he goes on to say stuff. He he was asked about the allegations of discontent, and it says a surprise Vasseur dismissed allegations that his own responsibilities are not far-reaching, and he says, I have the means and the power of decision that I've had anywhere else. That is the reality of the situation. And he said the departure of Sanchez was inevitable. There are people who were very close to Mattia and who prefer to leave, which doesn't bother me. And there are others who may have feared for a moment for their future. Which honestly, that's how I see it as well. That's how I see it as well, though. I think I've certainly been in a situation from my personal life where I got promoted by like a manager, and that manager within a couple of months left the company, and I was left wondering what my future was. So I fully understand why, you know, for people working at Ferrari are no different. They have the same concerns, friendships and stuff you or I have in workplaces. So it doesn't surprise me that there are stories of people who were close to Binotto that are now in a situation where they're like, do I want to be here? I really was enthused and got on with Binotto and wanted to work with Binotto. This isn't the same Ferrari now. For better or worse, you know, it's a personal thing. And maybe because of that, they want to leave. And that seems to be why Sanchez did. And I'm not sure about this chap, whether this is why. He's talking about the CEO being cumbersome. And Nick says, do Ferrari need a more modern recruitment approach and not be such a close book? Yeah, and that's how I see things, Nick. Now, And to be fair, Vasseur seems to be taking quite a pragmatic approach to it. Like he says, it's inevitable that, you know, a lot of people will have worked somewhere where friends and colleagues, because colleagues do become friends if you work somewhere long enough, will have left, and you are left thinking, is this where I want to be now? You know, and while to us mere mortals, working for Ferrari in Italy sounds a dream, you know, the reality is it's a job, you know, and there may be more people that leave. And Vasseur said, we spoke with the drivers, Elkann and Wigner, after winter testing, and we all speak together again after Imola. These meetings are planned. Elkann is the Ferrari chairman, and Wigner is the CEO, I believe. So, you know, pretty much Vasseur's just like, this is all very normal. There's been a power change at Ferrari, but, you know, do we think it's more than that? I can see how it could possibly be more because it's Ferrari, but I also understand why it might not be more because, you know, media like being media, and he's answering the questions, isn't he? He's answering the questions properly. He's not avoiding them, and that's why I like Vasseur quite a lot, because he seems very straight up and straight talking, doesn't he, Fred Vasseur? But Ferrari, they need to, if there are issues, they need to get them behind them, don't they? As soon as possible, because you don't need this peripheral stuff. You need everyone working in the same direction, on the same page, and just together with what the end goal is, which is winning races and championships, isn't it? So, just an interesting one there. There are reports saying Ferrari engineers not supporting Vasseur just because he is from France. Also, that he came to Bahrain in a private jet with Toto, who is a rival team principal. Honestly, Si, I find both of those things nonsensical, right? You must have seen the pictures of drivers going to circuits with other drivers, yeah, and team principals on a flight with other people. Like, I'm not about that. That whole thing is nonsense. It's all nonsense. That's people being childish and making up things. Like, that is just redundant. That's silly in my eyes. Right, the next thing is Christian Horner. Now, we've kind of spoken about this before, that Red Bull were on about wastage and efficiency and things like this, because of the cost cap and because of, frankly, their penalty that they got. And Christian Horner has been talking about how now more than ever, Red Bull are having to be as efficient as possible. While being efficient, they're also being motivated by it, that they realise they are sort of at a disadvantage, which they should be, and they're not saying they shouldn't be, but they're at a disadvantage, and to make this work, they have to be really, really on the ball, and that they're finding lots and lots of gains by just being more efficient. And he just says to motorsport.com, I think it focuses everybody's mind and it drives efficiency. What we lost in wind tunnel time, we gained in motivation. And they're asking about the impact on the team's drive and things like this, and what impact it might have on the Red Bull car. And he said it's something you have to view over 12 months because it's not just this year's car, it's also next year's car. I think the really positive thing for us is that we're not dealing with a fundamental issue that soaks up a resource and time with regards to Mercedes. For example, that's, it's not such a veiled, not dig, but he's making a good point. It was vital for us to be able to cope with that penalty and have a solid starting point. That is what the team has done a great job in achieving. We have another 8-9 months still to go with it. It means that we're going to have to be very selective and extremely efficient in how we develop this car and, of course, next year's car. Now, this is something that we've talked about on the watch-alongs and indeed on this channel, where we're like, oh, well, the cost cap penalty didn't work, did it? And a few of us, including me, have said, we'll probably see the cost cap penalty, the wind tunnel time penalty, start to take effect later in this season and into next year. And honestly, the position of Mercedes and the position of Ferrari is a blessing for Red Bull, because I think if you had a Red Bull if Mercedes and Ferrari were actually anywhere near on race pace, you'd see a struggling Red Bull right now, or very soon you'd see a struggling Red Bull. Because of these penalties and the fact they won the title as well last season, I don't think they will be able to keep up with a pace of development that Ferrari and Mercedes can do. But, and a big but on that is, the Mercedes and the Ferrari development needs to be right, doesn't it? And as he said, that Red Bull aren't dealing with a fundamental issue that soaks up resource and time, right? So this is the thing. Mercedes are dealing with a fundamental issue, which is probably taking up their deficit in time, and also with Ferrari, they're not where they want to be. On one lap pace, they're not far off, but on race pace, they're not there. Why is that? I don't know. Otherwise, I'd work for Ferrari earning loads of money, wouldn't I? But I think if they were strong, if those two teams were strong, I don't think Christian Horner would be talking about this situation so positively, with it being motivational and things like that. I think it would be a very different story we would be hearing. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's easy to be positive when you're winning, right? It's easy to be positive when you're winning. But there we are. Motivated and efficient Red Bull there. Now, look, this is the cover story. Trouble or internal trouble at Mercedes? Is it a thing? Now, we have quotes from Craig Scarborough, who is very, very well connected, and is involved with Peter Windsor, is involved with F1 TV, and we've got some quotes, and I'll just read them directly for you guys, because he believes Mercedes are at an extremely critical point right now. And he says, we know there's a new floor coming for the next race. We don't know how big a step that is, but if you were to change anything on that car, the floor would be the thing that you would change first. Now, until I've read this, I didn't know categorically a new floor was on its way for Jeddah. I didn't realise that until just now. And he said, we know there is a much talked about Imola upgrade. This came to light in pre-season testing, and they said, yes, we've got a big update coming. Which is not unusual for Mercedes, and it didn't sound like it was a reaction to any problems they were having in the car, and they were talking again about the side pods and some of the car concepts changing ever so slightly, and that has been my stance. This is why I've got a lot of time for Craig Scarborough, and why I'll bring you his quotes, even though he's not a Mercedes guy. I'll bring you his quotes, because he's always very realistic, feet on the ground, doesn't just say stupid things. What he just said there is what I said. In pre-season testing, when they said they had upgrades coming, that just was a Mercedes thing, much like Alpine, much like Red Bull will have, and it's a very normal thing. So we've got that in the pipeline already. And now you've got Toto and Lewis saying that they're going to develop a completely new concept for this car to make it win races. You do wonder how much of these kind of snappy comments in the press are related to what the engineers are doing. 1 second. And everyone else at Brackley trying to decide what they're going to get this car to be competitive. Now, it's an interesting thing, right? Because this is on planetf1.com, and it's an interesting thing. I wonder if they watch this. But there's an editor's note in this, right, saying that they understand that reports of an official return to Mercedes F1 team for ex-chief James Allison are wide of the mark. Now, that's a very interesting note, because Planet F1, I've sourced quite a few stories from in the past, not all of them at all. I get my sources from all over the place. Like yesterday was a German publication I had to translate. But Planet F1 do seem to be decent, and they do quote and things like that. And it's interesting that they think James Allison returning to Mercedes isn't a thing, basically. Now, I do want to... Look, it may happen. But this is precisely why, when everyone was coming into the stream and into the videos and things like that, saying, is it true? Is it true? Is it true about James Allison coming back? I basically refused to talk about it. And then one day when I did, I made it short and said it was a rumour. Because nothing is confirmed, nothing has been said, and it's just a rumour complete that someone has made up somewhere. Now, will he return at some point? I can't say he won't, because I don't know the guy and I don't work at Mercedes. But I like that they've got that in there, because everything, these are quotes that I'm reading, and nothing points to James Allison going back to Mercedes. Even though people want to believe it, because it would be a good thing for Mercedes, you have to look at what's being said, and nothing official has come out. And look, I could report as well. Did anyone read the... Did anyone read the long press release by Mercedes the other day? And look, I have to say, I read it, and I cringed so hard that I haven't even spoken about it on TSKF1, because it was just so over the top. It really was over the top. It really was. Oh, did anyone read it? Honestly, did anyone in chat read it? Because I'd be interested to know. It's a bit cringe in my view. It was for me, mate. Like, I generally like normal, sensible stuff that Mercedes put out, but blooming heck. Oh, it was all a bit much, John. It was like PR crisis reduction stuff. It was way over the top for after the first race. Is there upgrades coming to Merc in Jeddah? Slow Sports News, Si. You should have been listening, mate. And you have to guess, given their successes over the past decade, that they will know how to do that. So there's almost like a civil war is going on. Now, it's... I think there comes a point that you have to say, is this Mercedes now? And when will that point be? Because, you know, all teams eventually drop off. And they do. The sport goes in cycles. Like, Red Bull are utterly dominant, and I think there will be again this weekend. But at some point, Red Bull won't be. And is this just Mercedes dropping off? You know, just because we felt it was very un-Merc-like, I think they are stuck. Yeah, I agree. They didn't have to make that press release. They came off a bit too PR heavy. This is F1. Nothing happening to them is new in the sport. This was the thing for me, Philip. What was the result? What was the result again in Bahrain? Bahrain 2023 result. Let me just have a look again. Race results. So they're putting out a press release, right? Which honestly was like, it was like everything, the world had fallen apart for Mercedes, right? And they're 5th and 7th. Like, you know, the only thing to me that it points to is how bad things are for Mercedes in terms of what they think they can do to fix what they've got going on. Them putting out that statement for me, despite it being attempting to be full of positivity and will battle and things, I can't help but feel this is really, really bad. We've got to get ahead of this. And I don't like to say that to the Mercedes fan viewers, and I don't really do controversy and things like that, but why would you? Like, I've got half a mind to read it out for those that haven't actually heard it. But it is a bit long. If I can find it. Nope. I can't find it. Where is it? A letter to the fans. So, okay, right. Do you want me to read it? Do you want me to read it out? A question from Phil. Saw an article this morning claiming that if Merc don't improve in the next few races, they have been instructed to give best possible engines to Aston Martin to help their challenge. Well, I mean, look, the rules, and apparently, like, there is no difference with the engines. That's from, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago? I think for these hybrid regulations, there is no difference these days. That's the rule. Honestly, that is the rule. Now, whether there is a difference, I can't say. I don't believe there is. I mean, did anyone see the Aston Martin overtake the Merc? You know, like, the rule is that there can be no difference between works and customer engines. Back in the day, it used to be a different thing, and it did used to be a very apparent thing. But in sort of now, it's not meant to be, like, it's not meant to be a thing, whether it is or not. I've never seen any information to say it is a thing. But there you go. There you go. So I don't know. It's pretty long. It's pretty long to read out, but, Mercedes saying to all our fans, Bahrain hurt. It hurt each one of us who head into every season determined to fight for world championships. It hurt the team as a whole after pouring so much hard work into a car that hasn't met our expectations. And we know it hurt you, our fans, too. Your passion and support are so important in driving us forward, and we know that we feel the same pain. The situation that we face now isn't the one any of us wanted, but it's the one we have. That's the reality of it. And simple questions are, what can we do about it and what will we do about it? First, we won't panic or make knee-jerk reactions. In a spotlight as fierce as Formula One, people are quick to point fingers or look for scapegoats. But you know us better than that. Inside the team, we talk about having the courage to fail, the character to be accountable, and the strength to see failure as an opportunity. We have been open and searingly honest about where we find ourselves, and we are working urgently and calmly to build our recovery plan, focusing on what needs to happen short-term, medium-term, and long-term to win. We already have developments in the pipeline for the next races, and there will be more to come, but this won't be the work of a moment. There is no silver bullets in F1. Second, we'll keep our heads held high and take this journey step by step together. We are Mercedes. We know the standards we aspire to, and nobody is flinching when we look at the mountain we must climb. It won't be easy, but where's the value in something easy? These are times when character is forged, the times when a team becomes greater than the sum of its parts, tackling difficult problems and conquering them. We're tougher through thick and thin. From Toto, Lewis and George to every single woman and man in the factories in Brackley and Brixworth, and we love that challenge. Third, we'll be calling on each one of you too to power us to the front. Whether you're offering criticism or support, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. We want our online community to be a safe place, a safe space full of healthy debate where people treat others and are treated with respect, be they team members, Mercedes fans or rival fans. We have zero tolerance policy on discrimination, abuse or bullying of any kind, and will take appropriate action to any comments or posts that do not meet our guidelines. And we want your support to make that reality throughout our community. We're already hard at work on changing the course of the 2023 season. The recovery began immediately after the race, and everybody has a part to play. Are you ready to join us for the fight back? If not, then there are no hard feelings. If yes, then let's do this. I can't help it. They came 5th and 7th. I don't really understand what's going on. I honestly don't understand what that's about. To me, I honestly, truly cannot fathom what that is about. Now, look, this is my own theory and what I've already said on stream, right? It's like they had their meeting and all of them were just like, this is so bad. This is so bad. We've got to get ahead of this. Like you see in the movies, we've got to get ahead of this. And they've just released this pure marketing, PR, inclusive, politically correct. We're gonna be fighting, but if you don't want to fight, that's okay. Weird thing. I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, if you're going to release a statement like, we're Mercedes, we're coming for you. Like, make it that. Don't make it, are you ready to join us on the fight back? If not, no hard feelings. Fuck that. If you're doing a statement like that, get on it. Get on it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get on it. If you're doing that, if you have to put something out that's combative, that's reassuring, that says to your fans, we're about this. This is Mercedes and we're going for it. Then make it that. Don't make it this weirdly PR-driven, marketing, sanitized nonsense. Honestly, if I had a boss that said that, I'd be like, are you right sharp, mate? Are you right sharp? Are you trying to motivate me now? What are you doing? What are you doing? What is this? But anyway, completely nonsense and unmeaningful. Rather than spend the time on what they need to fix their car, they have spent on a PR stunt statement. I just can't. I can't get with that. I can't get with it, honestly. Look, indeed, they might. First of all, they don't even have a clear idea of who they're addressing. The fans can't do a thing to make the car better, and if it's intended for staff, internal memo would do. Yeah. The bad thing is that's being passed through a group of people that agree. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, that's seen, many eyes have seen that, haven't that? You know, I don't know. Look, I think this balances stuff out because I've said stuff about Red Bull in the past, but my God, what is this? What is this? Like, me, honestly, if I was putting something out like this, I'd do a potential PR own goal. I would have signed it off, Owen Red Bull, we're coming for you. Or something like that. Like, do something that actually makes your fans go, yeah, come on. Like, it's not going to happen now, but come on, let's do it. Like, no hard feelings. No hard feelings if you were only a fan while we were winning. No hard feelings. Like, no. Do it properly if you're doing it. Like, that'd have been better, wouldn't it? We realise we have made a mistake. Unlike what Lewis said, we do make mistakes, and we have. We're only human, but best believe we're coming to win everything again, and we will. Like, do that. Now I've read it again, I'm a bit like, oh, God. I wish I'd not read it out loud. The first time I read that, I was drunk, and you don't want to know what I thought. But I don't know. It's like a football team. It's like a football team getting ready for like a derby game, and just being like, we'll go play them. You know, we'll give it a shot. Like, if you did that with footy fans, they'd probably lynch you. You know, it's crazy to me that they've been so sort of soft with it. But there we are. That's and I personally think they've only put that out because they're in a lot worse of a position than they're being public about. Like, of course, publicly, they're going to be saying they're trying to fix it. And of course, they are trying to fix it. But I think the road ahead, I think they know they can't catch Red Bull this season. Realistically, they can't catch Red Bull this season. So they've just all said, we've got to put something out. And I truly think that. But there we are. I'd love to know your opinions on it. But that is the end of today's TSK F1. Just a reminder, guys, I will be on for the watch-alongs for all of the sessions this weekend for Jeddah. 1 o'clock and 4:30 for free practice 1 and free practice 2 on Friday. Saturday at 1 o'clock for free practice 3. Qualifying will be at 4:30. I'm going live for on Saturday, and 4:30 on Sunday I'll be live for the race. But there we are, guys. There we are. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do make sure you've hit the like on the stream and also subscribed with the notification bell button down below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you very, very soon. Cheers.